Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, hello. It's your girl, Shay Hope, the Hope Strategist. And I'm here for today's live where we're talking about sacrificing versus compromising. And those words are very, very different. So I want to get into it a little bit more, talk about the difference between the two, when it's absolutely necessary to do either in a relationship, whether it be with your partner or with your family member, also with friends. So I'm going to give a little more time for some people to join this morning. It's a beautiful day today. It's a beautiful Sunday. No, what's today? Wednesday. It's a beautiful Wednesday. It feels like a Sunday though. Sundays to me feel very relaxed and laid back and just like you don't have a lot to do. You know, it's just that kick back, chill day. That's how I woke up this morning feeling that way. Anybody else feel that way this morning? That's how I woke up this morning. Feeling real chill, relaxed. Look, I want every day to be a Sunday. Absolutely every day to be a Sunday. I want to wake up every morning feeling chilled and relaxed, not a care in the world. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, my dear. How are you? Long time no see, no talk to. I think the last time we saw each other was Phoenix, right? How many years ago was that? When Harmony and I were out in Phoenix. How are you, my dear? Welcome to my live. Okay, well, it's 9:01. I am a stickler for time. Punctuality is very important to me, so I'm going to go ahead and get started, and whoever jumps on, jumps on. So again, welcome to my live. I am Shay, also known as the Hope Strategist. You can follow me on social media at the Hope Strategist 2019 on IG. I'm also at My Boss My Dream on IG, and on Facebook, The Hope Strategist is my business page, and on YouTube, I have a YouTube channel called The Hope Strategist. So please follow me on all social media, and make sure on YouTube you subscribe, click the bell to get notifications when I post. I typically post a video at least once a week. So when are we coming back? Oh, I actually have, I'll actually be in Phoenix at the end of this month myself. So I'll hit you up, Carlise, to let you know what day I'll actually be in town. But yeah, I need to come back to Arizona. You know, I love the spas and, you know, spa resorts and all that sort of thing. And just the scenery in Phoenix is just so beautiful. So I definitely have to come out there for a vacation very soon. But yeah, I will actually be out there at the end of this month. I want to say, I'll text you because I can't remember what day, but I'll text you and let you know for sure. So, so make sure to follow me on all social media. You know, just to tell you a little bit about the Hope Strategist for those who are not familiar with what I'm doing, my mission, who I am, that sort of thing. So I am a spirit-led entrepreneur. I am an author. I am a motivational speaker. And I am someone who honestly believes my personal mission is to help lead generations of people to heal their spirits, heal their broken families, and really live their true, authentic lives. I do believe that what this world needs is a lot of healing. There are a lot of us who are honestly hurting, and it transcends all economic classes, and it doesn't matter, what your education is or your ethnicity. There are a lot of hurting people out there. There are families that are being attacked right now. There are people whose minds are being absolutely eroded, and people are depressed. People are anxious. People are worried. People are fearful. People are not understanding who they are right now. People are looking to social media and influencers and people with power and rich people, famous people. They're looking at them as their model, their role model. And there's nothing wrong with looking up to another person who has something that you don't have and saying, oh my gosh, I would love to have that also. But where it goes wrong is when you feel like you lack and you're not enough because you're following that person. You feel like your life is less than because you don't have what they have. Hi, for everyone who's joined. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to my live. So my personal mission is to really tap into the spirits of everyone. I can't say it's only women, even though I will say that, of course, because I am a woman, I understand women, but for men as well. I believe it's very important to reach out to our men as well. I'm a mother of a young son who is extremely important to me. So, and I'm sure, a lot of you, have sons or husbands, fathers, brothers, nephews, so you have important men in your life as well. And there are a lot of men who are out there hurting. And unfortunately for men, they don't always have an outlet because they're always, society looks at men as, hey, you have to be tough. You can't show emotion. And if you show emotion as a man, automatically, you can be deemed as weak or, oh, he's, he just needs to man up. He just needs to have strength. And that's just so not the case. We have to get out of that. So I have made it my personal mission to heal those who are in positions where they just feel like all is lost or they don't know where to turn, and just live our authentic life. Like, just be yourself. I think that's so important, is knowing who you are and whose you are, and living your life that way. So the topic today is sacrificing versus compromising in a relationship. So let's get into it. All right, so first of all, I wanted to start with some definitions, of course, so we all know. So psychologist Alison Nirenberg wrote a book, and she defines compromise as a compromise happens when both of you make shifts in your behaviors or desires to make your relationship flow again. So that's both of you making changes, right? A sacrifice, she says, is when one person is giving up something they value in order to accommodate the other person's preferences. So that's sacrifice. One person gives up something to benefit the other. Okay, dictionary definitions, very similar. Dictionary definition of compromise: a settlement of differences by mutual concessions, an agreement reached by adjustment of conflicting or opposing claims, principles, etc., by reciprocal modification of demands. Very true. Okay. And then the dictionary definition of sacrifice: to surrender or give up, or permit injury or disadvantage to for the sake of something else. Okay, so let's talk about this. Sacrificing and compromising is both necessary in any relationship, quite honestly, because we're human. We're not always going to agree. We're not always going to see eye to eye. And I'm not going to like what you like. You're not going to always want to do what I want to do, because we're human and we have our own needs, own desires, own wants, So I think it's ludicrous to think that, if you're in a relationship with someone, if y'all don't like the same things and don't want to do the same things, that means you're just not, a good match. No, absolutely not. That has nothing to do with it. So in relationships, compromising is necessary and sacrificing is also necessary. I think where it gets very tricky, of course, is when one person is always doing the sacrificing, and that can lead to resentment. That can lead to self-detachment. That can lead to the dissolution of the relationship, dissolving of the relationship. Yes, Carly says both compromising is healthy, mutual, and reciprocal. Absolutely. Sacrifice is sometimes necessary, but should not always be one-sided. Exactly. And I see that in a lot of relationships. I've seen that in some of my friends' relationships. I've seen that in some of my family members' relationships. And I see that in others, and I hear people talk about it all the time. I've worked with women who have said, that they gave up their education, for the sake of their marriage, or they gave up a job that they once loved for the sake of their kids and their marriage, their family. And then later on, they're bitter about it. You know what I mean? They're very bitter. And I think the reason why they become bitter is because either their partner does not recognize the sacrifice that they make, or they're continuously making sacrifices and they feel like they're the only ones that are always giving up something. So I think it's important when you do make a sacrifice, the number one, you're doing it for the benefit of the other person, because you see where this can, this can propel the relationship for both of you, or this is an advantage. You know what I mean? Like in the long run, it leads to, hey, this is best for all of us. And it's necessary that you let your partner know in the beginning that this is a sacrifice for you. Because here's the thing, when you don't tell them that this is something that you're not, that you're not really wanting to do yourself, like this is not something you would have done yourself, but you're going to do it because of, in the long run, the bigger picture, this is more important. You have to let them know that so that they understand the magnitude of this. Okay? Because if you don't, then they may not know it's a sacrifice for you. I'll give you an example. Okay? So let's say that a man and woman are, in a marriage, and maybe the woman does not necessarily have a good relationship with her in-laws. Okay? And family dinner comes up. It's a holiday or a special occasion, and the husband wants to go over to his in-laws for dinner, for an event, to spend time. Okay? And the wife is like, we don't really get along. Yeah, I'm not going. And the husband is upset, of course, like, oh, we're family. These are my parents. This is my family, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Okay. So you understand how important this is as a wife. You understand how important this is to your husband, but you also understand how you feel, how uncomfortable this makes you, how you don't want to be put in a situation where, things can go awry, right? But as his mate, as his partner, as his wife, as his spouse, sometimes we have to make sacrifices, right? In this instance, it would be a sacrifice because you're doing something, you're giving up your comfortableness. You're giving up something you normally, wouldn't do for the benefit of your husband. It's not a compromise because he's not giving up anything by asking you to come to to his parents' home, right? So it's not like y'all are compromising. No, it's you giving up something. And so in that instance, you have to let him know, okay, I'm going to go over there with you with an open mind, but I'm letting you know how uncomfortable this is for me. So I'm going to give this my best shot. That's a sacrifice, quite honestly. And you're letting him know. And in my opinion, honestly, it would be the same if the situations were reversed. If it was if the husband or boyfriend or partner, whatever, was going over to, the other person's family home and didn't always have a good relationship with them. So that's a sacrifice. Now, if once, you go over there and things turn out messy and, and you're in a position where you're just like, this is exactly how I thought it was going to be, blah, 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 or whatever happens. Hey, you have made that sacrifice. And at that point, the next time that comes around, it needs to be a compromise. Like, hey, maybe next time they need to come over here. I'll feel more comfortable on my turf. Or maybe we need to go out to a restaurant, to a neutral setting, someplace I could easily escape if I needed to. Something like that, So I think it's important that also it can't just always be one person doing the sacrificing. And it shouldn't depend on who's the breadwinner or who's the head of the household, that sort of thing. And that's when you have to kick in with the compromises. And with compromises, both parties are giving up something, okay? And you're coming to a middle ground because that's the whole gist of a compromise is, hey, we want this relationship to work. So, so we're both willing to give up something so that this relationship keeps working. Hi, Marviel. Hi, love. How are you? So to that point, a healthy relationship compromise, what it is, it's, like I said, each person gives in just enough to wind up meeting in the middle. And what is the key component between deciphering what's a compromise and what's a sacrifice? Can anyone guess? What is the key component between deciding, is it a compromise or is it a sacrifice? Or do we compromise or do we sacrifice? There's actually maybe two components. Who can give me some idea? Who can give me some suggestions, some ideas? Thinking about it, just based upon what we've been discussing. do 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 do. No guessers, no guessers. Reciprocity. Absolutely. Yes. The amount of effort each party makes to resolve a disagreement. Absolutely, Carlise. Whoop, whoop. So that's one key component. Yep, reciprocity. And the second component is... Anyone guess? Anyone guess? I'll give y'all a couple more seconds. All right, we ready? Any takers? Any takers? All right, second component is the magnitude of what they're giving up to do so. And what do I mean by that? Like, are you sacrificing something huge? Like, are you sacrificing your education? Are you sacrificing your dream job? Are you sacrificing starting that business? Are you sacrificing starting a family? Are you sacrificing moving from your hometown, a place that you're comfortable and you love and are you sacrificing something huge, and the other person is sacrificing or giving up something minute? You know what I mean? Like, that to me is not that's not reciprocity. Like that's when you have to feel like, okay, is this sacrificing or now are we going to have to come to a compromise? Okay. And that's the danger in, if you don't have those key components, it can get a little murky about what you're doing. I've watched people give up their dreams in the hopes that, okay, this will help our relationship down the long run. And then later on, it's the other person who has been sacrificing so much ends up with a lot less. But it's because you gave up so much, right? In the beginning, you gave up so much, the other person gave so little, and quite honestly, they probably felt like your sacrifice was not that big of a deal. Because they're like, oh, well, I gave up something too. Well, let's just be honest. It depends on what you're giving up. It depends on what you're giving up. Okay, your partner giving up guys' night out, a couple times a month, that's not a huge sacrifice. Okay? Not if there are, that's maybe important to him, but we can come with a compromise. Okay? If you feel like, your partner is, he spends more time hanging with the fellas, or if you feel like your partner spends more time hanging out with her girls and doesn't give you the, that quality time that you want, you feel like your relationship is suffering, yeah, y'all are going to have to come to a compromise. Because first of all, you got to have that outlet, okay? Like, I firmly believe that in relationships, you cannot expect your mate to spend all their time with you. That's just not healthy. Like, they have to be around like-minded people. They have to be around their peers. You have to be around your peers, So, when I see relationships where the partner is like, oh, well, I do everything with my husband. We don't do anything apart from one another. There's some dysfunction in that relationship. because there is nothing wrong with loving your mate, wanting to spend as much time with your mate as possible. Like, I'm all for love. I love love, right? But you have to be able to be yourself sometimes. Like, all the time, really. But you have to be, you need alone time. Okay? You need time to kick it with your friends. Maybe you want to spend time with your family members. And you know, you got sisters or brothers or cousins or whatever, best girlfriends, best guy friends, and sometimes you just want to kick it with them. Now, if you always want to just kick it with someone else and not your mate, that's a whole nother IG live that we would have to talk about. But but yeah, so you want to be able to spend time with other people outside of your relationship. So that's where you have to come to a compromise. Both of you have to come to the table, so to speak, and discuss, like, hey, on Friday nights, I want to be able to hang out with my buddies and not hear any, flack about it. Or on Saturday mornings, I want to be able to meet up with my girls and go to brunch. Once a month, I need to have a girls' night out. Once a year, I need to go on a girls' trip. Or, oh, bye, Carlise. Thanks so much for joining. Awesome. And or once a year, the fellas need to get together and do a guys, weekend or something like that. So, hey, Jamal, I see you just joined. Welcome. So there's, that's a compromise where you're both coming in the middle and giving up something, and you're agreeing, like, hey, we need to have this. So I don't think that's not a sacrifice. That's a compromise. And, a lot of times people will use those words like, oh, I sacrifice this and I sacrifice that. But if both of you were compromising, that's not necessarily a sacrifice, right? A sacrifice is just when one person is giving up something in order to benefit the other. So let's talk about sacrificing and compromising as it relates to family relationships. Because, I think that is very important. And a lot of times in family relationships, you feel like, you may feel like you're the only one sacrificing, or you may feel like you have to sacrifice because you are the elder of the relationship, whether it be you're the parent or you're the older brother or sister, or you're the older child. You feel like you have to sacrifice. And I think it's, of course, when we're, as a parent, you make sacrifices for your kids. Like, you don't compromise with your children. Let's be real. Like, as the parent, you're like, hey, this is how it's going to be. Okay, this is how I'm raising you, and as a kid, you don't really have much, you don't have really any say so over that. Your parent is taking care of you, providing for you. It is what it is. But when we get older in our we're talking about adult family relationships, you don't want to be taken advantage of. You don't want to always feel like you're the one who's sacrificing. You're the one who's giving up. Like, I'll give a case in point. Let's say in mother-daughter relationships, they can be very, some mother-daughter relationships, are not always the best. And, a lot of times people will feel like, well, that's your mother. You have to respect your mother. That's just the way that your mother is. She's always been like that. She raised you. You know what the Bible says, honor thy mother and father. Yes, the Bible does say honor thy mother and father. But the Bible does not say you have to sit back and allow your mother to walk all over you your entire life. It does not say that you have to allow someone to disrespect you or make you feel less than. There is a way that you can express yourself, right? And talk to them and let them know, like, you're going to have to respect me when we talk. There's certain things I'm going to allow and certain things I'm not going to allow. And as my mother, yes, I know you brought me into this world and I'm thankful for that. But I can't allow you to make me feel like I'm always the one who's doing wrong, or I have to just shut it up. Because if you get upset because I'm disagreeing with you, I don't like something that you said, I don't like something that you did, and now all of a sudden I'm known as the disrespectful daughter or the disrespectful son. And there's a way to talk to any and everyone, right? So hi Tashina, how are you? Welcome. So I just think it's really important that we're clear that in a family dynamic, if there's not compromise amongst the adults, it can't always be one person sacrificing just because the other family member feels like, oh, well, I'm older, or I'm the parent, so I can talk to you like that, or I can do these things and you just have to deal with it. And that's not healthy in any type of relationship. That also holds true for your siblings. Some younger siblings may feel like, oh, well, you're the older sibling, so you have the responsibility of doing this and doing this and doing that. You should come to me. You should be taking the lead. You know what? We're all adults at this point. When we're all adults, we should all take the lead because we're all human. And if it's just one person feeling like, oh, well, I'm the person that should come to you, I have to come to you in order for us to have a good relationship, that definitely leads to a feeling down the road like, does my sister really value this relationship? Like, does she really value this sisterhood? Does my brother really care about me and care about how I feel in this? Does my mother or my father or my uncle or my aunt or my do they really value my feelings? Or is it all about them? And I always say that people have to understand a lot of times when things are going on, like when people are angry, upset, lashing out, it's not about you. It's usually about something that they're going through. It took me a long time to come to terms with that. Even, in my own family dynamics and friendships and relationships, I had to realize, I can't take on the burden of thinking that it's something that I did. When someone acts out in a way that I feel is disrespectful, when someone says something or does something that I feel is, dismissive, when someone, shuts down, doesn't speak, whatever, just falls off the face of the earth, like, it doesn't have anything to do with you. They're going through something. So don't be willing to compromise, right? Don't be willing to compromise who you are. Don't be willing to compromise your self-respect. Don't be willing to compromise your sanity for the sake of keeping a relationship. You've got to compromise when both parties are willing to come to an agreement. And that's how you know a relationship is a healthy one. Because if you're constantly sacrificing, giving, and the other person is always taking, then you need to cut off that relationship, or you need to step away from that relationship. You need to limit your time with that person. If it's a family member, you know what I mean? If it's, family is family. You can't change who they are. But you can change how you react to them. You can change how you deal with them. And trust me, they'll feel it. Because you're not being, a walking doormat anymore. So you have to be the example and let someone know, how to treat you. Right? So, camera malfunction. There we go. All right, so that's we already talked about that. Sacrifices cannot be one-sided. Absolutely not. So let's talk about in your friendships. Are you sacrificing and compromising as far as your friendships? I think it's the same dynamic, as far as if you're the one who's constantly, sacrificing, if you're the one who's constantly giving up something, if you find yourself always giving in to make a friend feel better or to keep them happy or to keep the peace, that's not a healthy friendship. And then that can lead to a big blow up. That could lead to, a bitter end of a friendship. That could lead to some hurt feelings, some spoken words that, could have probably been said a lot nicer had you said them in the beginning in a good space, as opposed to building up all this anger and resentment and hostility, over years. It can definitely happen. I've seen it happen. I've seen friendships end after years and years, and it's hurtful. It's like it's almost like death, right? When you lose a friend or someone who you consider to be a friend, y'all were friends for years, and then all of a sudden you're just like not speaking. It's like you didn't exist, they didn't exist, like y'all are both going on with your lives but without one another. And I feel like if you truly value that person, if you value that friendship, that's hurtful, right? I don't think anyone who truly cares about someone, lets someone into their lives, spent time with them for years, if it's easy for someone to walk away from you, that was never a friend. That was an associate. That was a friendly associate. That was someone who was there to get what they could from you, and now they no longer can get it, so they have no use. But you can tell who a real friend is, because if you are like mourning the loss of that friendship, like that person meant something to you. That was to you. You considered them your friend. You considered yourself a friend to them. Hi, for those who are just joining, welcome. So in friendships, I see, certain dynamics where, one person feels like they're the ones who are always giving in to make that friend feel like hey, I'm here for you, or hey, I'm gonna make sure that everything goes right. And if you don't speak about it from the beginning, that friend may not know you have that problem with them, right? So, let me give an example for certain things. Like, I'll use myself as example. For me, I always talk about punctuality, right? Like, I'm huge on punctuality. Like, I deem it absolutely disrespectful for someone to to have plans to meet and someone show up, like overly late. 5, 10, 15 minutes, I get it. When it gets close to when it gets to the 20-minute mark, I'm checking my watch. Like, when it gets to the 30-minute mark, at 30 minutes, unless it's an emergency, unless there's a wreck on the highway, unless it's something that it's disrespectful at 30 minutes. For me. And, and I know this. So, I think in the beginning, early on, like, I used to not ever say anything. I would just, in my head, just be like, late. Okay. Second time. Okay. Late again. Third time. Okay. This is just who this person is. Or these people are. So, after a while, it was just like, they always late. And, if you don't let people know how you roll, then they'll continue, they may be like, they may not think anything is wrong with it. Because a lot of people are not, like, punctuality is not important to them. They feel like, hey, as long as I show up, I show up. Or, hey, if I give you a call and tell you I'm going to be late, that's good. What you have to determine is, you and what I had to do for myself was, okay, either I'm going to sacrifice my sanity, my personal peace of mind, and just accept the fact that they're always going to be late and just, roll with that. Or there's going to have to be some sort of compromise. So I think with myself and, and the people in my life, I realized that the compromise was, hey, I'm either going to give them a different time. You know what I mean? If we meeting at 4, I'm going to tell them we meeting at 3, because that's, 4 is when they'll show up. Or I just have started making sure that wherever I go, I don't stop what I need to do. Right? Like, if I go somewhere, if I meet, hey, you show up late, that's fine. You join in when I get there or when you get there, because I'm going to already get it started. If we're at dinner, I'm ordering. If we at a party, I'm mingling. If we going to the movies, I'm going to sit in my seat. So you just, you have to just make sure you do, and that's just, that's minuscule on a minuscule level, but your core values, things that are important to you, that's not minuscule. You know what I mean? If something is important to you, it's important to you. There are so many different, different dynamics of, friendships, relationships, familial relationships, things that, that we deal with day to day. And you just have to come to a point where I think the most important thing is making sure that you have your peace of mind, that you're being yourself, that you're being truthful, you know, and it doesn't require, you know, yelling or being ugly or nasty or you know, it doesn't require that. It's a conversation. Like, hey, this is what I need in order to feel good about this relationship. This is what I need in order to feel, you know, protected in this, you know, in this relationship, in this friendship. This is what I need. This is what I feel like I've been getting. You know, give the person an opportunity to say, you know, what they're feeling. They may not be aware that there's an issue, or they might feel like there's an issue coming from you. Give that person an opportunity to tell you, you know, well, hey, you know, you're feeling this way, but let me tell you how I have felt. And you'd be surprised sometimes. You have a conversation with someone, you know, you feel like, you know, oh, this person doesn't care, they're this, they're that, da, 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 da. And then when you talk to them and they tell you, well, I feel like this because blah, 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 you know, it might totally take you back. Like, you're like, oh my gosh, I never knew that. So communication is so key. I want to thank everyone for joining today. Those of you who are able to get on. And, you know, I definitely hope this conversation, you know, sparked up something in you. Maybe you have some relationships or friendships, or even where you have felt like, you know, they might be a little one-sided, or maybe you're uncomfortable with something. So, you know, definitely talk to your, you know, talk to your mate, talk to your friends, talk to your family members. Sacrifice is not a bad word. You know, sometimes it's absolutely essential to do in a relationship, in a friendship, but it should never be always one-sided. And compromising can be very, very healthy, but it has to be a true compromise. So I want to thank everyone for joining. And, you know, look for my next video. I'll probably be doing another video later in the week, but definitely wanted to reach out to you all today. Have a wonderful, beautiful hump day, Wednesday, and I'll see you all again very soon. Blessings and abundance.